When you think of a wasted career in football, Tony Morley's name might come to mind. But here's the thing, this man once stood at the absolute pinnacle of European football. He was voted the best left-sided player in the entire European Cup during one of the most competitive eras in the sport's history. So how does someone go from being Europe's finest winger to seeing their career crumble so dramatically? William Anthony Morley was born in Ormskirk, England on the 26th of August 1954. He became known as a skillful, nippy winger who would reach the very top of his profession during a brief but absolutely brilliant period with Aston Villa. Under the expert guidance of manager Ron Saunders, Morley transformed from a wayward talent into one of the most dangerous attacking players of his generation. This naturally right-footed player, who excelled on the left wing, became a crucial component of the Aston Villa side that secured their 7th top-flight league championship in the 1981 season. But that was just the beginning. The following year, Morley helped Villa achieve something truly special. They won the European Cup. His impact during this period was so significant that he earned that prestigious recognition as the best left-sided player in the competition. It was a testament to his electrifying performances when it mattered most. Morley's contributions to the club's success were both spectacular and instrumental. During the 1980-81 season, he produced what many consider one of the greatest goals of that campaign. His strike against Everton at Goodison Park, a powerful right-footed effort from outside the penalty area, earned him the Goal of the Season award. The technique, the power, the placement, it was everything you'd want from a moment of individual brilliance. However, his most famous moment came in the 1982 European Cup final against Bayern Munich in Rotterdam. In a match that would define his legacy, Morley produced a moment of pure magic. His brilliant dribble down the left wing, beating defenders with pace and skill, led to a perfectly weighted cross that found Peter With at the far post. With his finish secured the winning goal, and Aston Villa were crowned champions of Europe. That cross, that moment, represented the culmination of Morley's best years at the club. During this golden period, Morley recorded 170 appearances and scored 34 goals for Aston Villa. These weren't just numbers on a page. They represented a player operating at the highest level, contributing consistently to a team that was conquering both domestic and European football. Yet, despite this extraordinary peak, Morley's career would prove to be tragically short-lived at the top level. Two moments would fundamentally alter his professional trajectory. The first was the controversial dismantling of the European Cup winning squad at Aston Villa following the return of chairman Doug Ellis. The second was his inexplicable omission from England's 1982 World Cup squad. These weren't isolated incidents. They were connected events that created a narrative of potential dynasty unfulfilled. The conflict with Doug Ellis wasn't simply a personal falling out between two men. It represented a fundamental clash of cultures and priorities between a successful, unified dressing room and a boardroom focused purely on financial recovery. Understanding Ellis's history with the club is crucial to grasping what happened next. Ellis's initial tenure as chairman had begun in 1968 when Aston Villa faced imminent financial ruin. He developed a notoriously strained relationship with manager Ron Saunders, constantly clashing over what Saunders saw as interference in football matters. This tension eventually led to Ellis being ousted as chairman in 1975 and his complete departure from the board in 1979. Crucially, it was during Ellis's absence that Saunders was able to build the team that would achieve historic success. When Ellis returned in November 1982 as chairman and majority shareholder, he was re-entering a club that had just reached its greatest triumph under a culture he had previously fought against. His return was motivated by urgent financial concerns. A report by accountants Deloitte had discovered serious breaches of recommended practices and poor supervision regarding the construction of the North Stand. £700,000 of a £1.3 million project was completely unaccounted for. Ellis's immediate priority became reducing the club's overheads, which meant informing the players they needed to accept pay cuts. This decision laid the groundwork for what would become the dissolution of the European Cup winning team. The players who had operated with such unity under Saunders and his replacement, Tony Barton, watched their achievements being undone by Ellis's desire to put his own stamp on the club. Gordon Cowans later stated that Ellis rewarded his European champions by selling off key players, including captain Dennis Mortimer, Terry Bullivant, Peter With, Jimmy Rimmer, Des Bremner, and and Ken McNaught. Peter With himself lamented that the team was broken up far too early and that there was a complete failure to build a future squad around the successful players. The departure timeline tells the story clearly. Tony Morley left in 1983, followed by Ken McNaught and Jimmy Rimmer the same year. Dennis Mortimer departed in 1984 and Peter With in 1985. Within just 3 years, the core of a European Cup-winning team had been completely dismantled. The consequences were swift and devastating. The squad was broken up and not adequately replaced, culminating in Aston Villa being relegated in 1987, just 5 years after they had been crowned champions of Europe. Morley's frustration, shared by his teammates, wasn't simple complaint about individual incidents. It represented a deep-seated belief that political and financial upheaval at the highest level had prevented the club from establishing a dynasty and winning more trophies. While the conflict at Villa was devastating, Morley's career suffered another crushing blow through his omission from England's 1982 World Cup squad. Leading up to the tournament, Morley was in exceptional form. He had been vital to the team that won the European Cup and was recognised as the best left-sided player in that competition. Between November 1981 and November 1982, he earned 6 caps for England, during which time the national team remained undefeated. This impressive record, combined with his club achievements, should have guaranteed his World Cup selection. Instead, England manager Ron Greenwood chose Arsenal's Graham Rix. This wasn't just a personal disappointment, it created a puzzling historical anomaly. England became the first and only side in European history to not select a player from that season's European Cup winning team for a World Cup. The peculiarity becomes even stranger when you consider that other key Villa players, including Peter With and Gordon Cowans, were selected by Greenwood. This suggested the decision wasn't about questioning Villa's success, but perhaps reflected deeper influences within the England setup. A possible explanation emerged later. The choice of Rix may have resulted from the influence of Greenwood's deputy, Don Howe, who had previously coached Rix at Arsenal. This would indicate that club allegiances and personal connections within the coaching staff overrode player merit at a critical moment of national team selection. The decision proved to be a great disappointment for Morley. He felt overlooked after everything he had achieved during his triumphant seasons. Most significantly, he expressed that after the snub, he just lost a lot of heart in English football. This psychological blow, combined with the professional turmoil at Aston Villa, contributed significantly to his career decline and his subsequent decision to pursue opportunities abroad. Now, there's been some confusion about Morley's later career, particularly regarding his time in the Netherlands. Some have claimed there was a controversy in the Dutch Cup final, where he was sent off at half-time. However, the historical record shows no evidence of this claim. Instead, Morley's performance in the 1987 Dutch Cup final was actually a personal highlight. Playing for FC Den Haag against Ajax, Morley not only participated throughout the match, but also scored a goal, while Den Haag ultimately lost 4-2 to an Ajax team featuring a young Marco van Basten. Morley was a key figure who reached the cup final and earned a runners-up medal. His time in the Netherlands was actually successful. He was even voted one of the best foreign players in the league. Following his departure from Villa in 1983, Morley embarked on what can only be described as a nomadic career. He joined local rivals West Bromwich Albion for 2 seasons, then had a stint in Hong Kong with Seiko before moving to the Netherlands. Later moves included a return to West Brom, a loan spell at Burnley, and time with Tampa Bay Rowdies and Hamrun Spartans. This professional journey, away from the constant spotlight of top-tier English football, appears to have been a direct consequence of the dual disappointments he experienced at Aston Villa and with the England national team. Tony Morley's career represents a compelling study of a player whose brief but brilliant peak was cut short by forces completely beyond his control. His success at Aston Villa wasn't a fluke. It resulted from a cohesive team environment and an exceptional manager who unlocked his potential. The collective frustration expressed by Morley and his teammates over the club's post-European Cup decline wasn't sour grapes, but a legitimate lament for a lost opportunity to build lasting success. Despite the bitter end to his top-level playing career, Morley's love for Aston Villa has endured. He remains a prominent member of the Aston Villa Former Players Association and provides co-commentary for radio broadcasts on the club's official website. This continued continued involvement demonstrates that his profound connection to the club and its historic achievements transcends the professional conflicts of his past. The story of Tony Morley is more than just a personal biography. It's a microcosm of the rise and fall of a team and an era in English football, defined by the delicate balance between on-field brilliance and off-field politics. His legacy as a brilliant winger and key figure in one of Aston Villa's greatest eras remains intact, even if the dynasty he helped create was prevented from reaching its full potential. What do you think about Tony Morley's story? Could things have been different if the politics hadn't interfered? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more football stories like this one.